All right, Sunday, August 4th, DF95 Nationals, Sea Fleet, getting underway. Good wind out of the west again. Looks like we got Lake Stevens' own Jerry Warren Brower out front, leading the parade. In the number 4 boat, white boat number 4. So we head upwind. HMS, you want to be top floor in this fleet, or you're nothing. 5th place, no good. Got Gene Harris, 50 boat, working the inner shore over here. A few people working the middle. Got Barry Donaher in the 47 boat, Mike Shaw. Out of North Carolina, I believe. As we head upwind, got Jerry in the 4 boat. Got Jason Brooks, local San Diego boy. Black hull, charcoal hull, whatever color you want to call that. Heading upwind. As people jockey for position. Heading upwind, leisurely parade. Jerry heading for the pressure. Sees a little pup over there. He heads towards it. Gets to it first. That's always a good thing. Head for that dark water, as Jerry does. It's like Mr. Gene Elliott, Dr. Gene Elliott is over there in the pressure with Jerry, but a little further to the right. Smooth tacks, Gene, smooth tacks. Don't slow the boat down. Gene had to tack for the shore. Looks like he's covering a little bit. My prediction came through. Looks like Mr. Jerry Warren Brower is first to the mark. A little low. He's going to have to throw a tack in there. A little quick tack around the mark. Mr. Brower. His friends call him Warren. He makes everybody here call him Jerry. So, somebody snuck ahead of Jerry there. The 2-5 boat. And Jerry going downwind. Looks like Gene, who worked the opposite shore, is right in the mix in the 3rd spot. And the battle would be for 4th. You got the 2-5 boat out front. The 4 boat in 2nd. As Gene working those new Wilson Chong hard RC sails. Correct material, number 50 boat. Coming downwind. Fill them up, Gene. Fill them up. Power up. A little shifty here at the pond. 4th place, hanging on for dear life, the 90 boat. He's got to fend off the whole fleet. Coming down behind him, Gene Elliott, working his Black Sparrow sails. Coming across a little bit. 125's got to keep clear there. I'll have to back up to our leaders. Looks like a little battle for first. Looks like Jerry's one winning the downwind. On a beeline to the inside mark. Well, Jerry's hedging his bets. Middle. Jerry's going to go inside. Stay near the shore. 2-5 boat decides to go outside. Let's see who pays. Gene Harris looks like she's going to go outside. As the rest of the fleet gets a big puff. Coming up on our winners. Here's going to be tough roundings here. Jerry's the only one who came inside. Somebody else went outside. Ooh, some rough roundings there. Everybody thinks this is motocross. I got to slam it in there, but pile up at the mark rounding's never good. We got Jerry. Jerry still out front in the 4-boat on starboard. 2-vibe tacks back onto port. Cross behind Jerry. Looks like the 3/8 yellow boat of Mike Shaw has got up into the mix. Got Gene Harris, some speed wrinkles. 5-0 powering up the middle. Gene had some good races yesterday. Hoping to duplicate again today. The 9-0 boat nipping at Gene's heels. Who's now in the 4th spot as the wind builds here a little bit. Jerry's still out front, sailing clean air. Always good racing strategy. Get out front and don't let people pass you. Second place, a 2-5 boat. Looks like we got Gene and Mike Shaw in the 38 boat in 3rd and 4th. So we head upwind for the second time. As the wind builds, we had a nice raffle yesterday, courtesy of Dragon Sailing North America. I won a free hull. Thank you, Chuck LeMahieu, for supporting the class, being the distributor, dealing with all the headaches getting these boats into the country. So, we got Jerry on port tack, still ahead, so he can continue on port, not a problem. As we head up to the windward mark, try to zoom in, my little tiny screen. On my monopod. So Jerry making it to the windward mark again. Looks like he's put a little distance on the field. Like the 2-5 boats in 2nd place. As everybody's tacking upwind to that windward mark. Let's check in with our leader. There's Jerry. What about a, I don't know, 10 boat lead? But the 2-5 boat is powered up, closing that gap. Oh, looks like Gene might have hit the mark, doing a little penalty turn out there. She holds on to 3rd place. Mike Shaw in the yellow 38 boat. Breathing down her neck, coming in 4th. Who's 5th? Looks like maybe the 125 boat. Not sure who that is, followed by the 90 boat. As Jerry's got about a half a leg, depending on how long your legs are. Gap on the field in this Sea Fleet race, followed by the 2-5 boat in 2nd. Gene is fast. There's Gene. She manages to stay in 3rd, even with the penalty turn. But that 4th spot, Mr. Mike Shaw is getting challenged a little bit. The red 3/8 boat. 125's challenging, 90's challenging. Paul Todd out there, our resident Kiwi, coming in strong, displaying the Kiwi fern. I don't know, we'll have to get I think that's their national symbol. That's Paul. Flew from Spain, flew to Georgia, Told his wife, honey, I'm going model boat sailing in San Diego. Came down here for 3 or 4 days. Hanging out with the Texans. Learning all sorts of bad habits. Drinking and debauchery. But don't tell his wife. Anyways, back to Jerry. Jerry, jeez. You're boring. You're out all by yourself out front. What? 2.5 boat screaming up the middle on starboard tack. A little more windward than Jerry, but you just need top 4. Downwind boats being courteous of our leaders, getting out of their way. Although Jerry looks like he's covered well. 2.5 boat, second place. Gene Harris in the 5.0 boat, hanging on the third, but Mike Shaw is closing the gap. He's powered up. Gene tacks on the port. Looks like Mike is kind of continuing on. A little bit of a stall there. We got Paul Todd. Nobody likes 5th place, Paul. Nobody likes 5th place. 7.5 boat trying to get up to 4th. Hoping for some magic. Oh, quick tack. I don't know. That kind of slowed the boat there, Paul. Jerry comes in first. It's off the screen already. 2.5 boat in second. Looks like Gene's hanging on to third. Nice job, Gene. The 5.0 boat. Mike Shaw in the 3.8. Pride of New Zealand couldn't get it done. But there's another race. First race of the day. Long laps. Lots of time to recover. Lead changes. Mr. Paul Todd in 7.5 boat. Followed by the 1.25. Who else is out there? Who's in that green boat? Lenny Bowes, our Region 8 director in the 9.7 boat, cracked his hull. Borrowed one from the Gary Witten parts van. Gary drives his van across the country just to give other people parts. So appreciate Mr. Gary Witten for that. 9.0, 911. Let's take a look at our champion of the Sea Fleet. Bumping up. Mr. Jerry Warren Brower. Good job, Jerry. All right, first A fleet of Sunday, August 4th, DF95 2024 Nationals. And everybody let Peter start in the middle of the line with clean air. How could they let that happen? As we head upwind for the first time, it's A fleet race. Few boats tacking off to the near shore here. Gil Jansky in the 41, Gary Witten 466, George Pedrick in the 57. Gil having to duck. Jim Sears on the right side. The beach shenanigans continue over there. Looks like Peter and Chris might be hung up together. Peter's dragging Chris. Oh, maybe yanked off his jib boom. Looks like they were hooked together. Jockeying around. Well, let's watch Peter pick his way back through the fleet. Maybe that'll be a fun exercise here. Peter had a little tangle with Mr. Davidson. It's like his jib weight was stuck on Peter's backstay. Peter stays powered up. Picking his way through here on port. Looking for a nice starboard ley line. Peter keeps going. Mr. Davidson adjusting his jib weight back in. Peter tacks back onto starboard, but a little low. There's Peter on port. As he gets on the back of the peloton. See where Peter makes some passes here. I'm assuming he will. Don't let me down, Peter. Giving you the highlight reel here. Peter powers up downwind. Oops, angled to that shore a little bit. He runs into traffic. Hugging the shore. Trying to look for some passing lanes. This not necessarily happening. We'll check back in on Peter later, but let's jump up to the front. Who's out front? Mr. Barbratzer out of Florida. Trying to hold off the Texan Chuck LeMahieu in the #1 orange boot. What am I, Canadian? Crying out loud. So we head down to the leeward marks. Looks like Barr is sizing up that inside mark. Heading over to the island of Death and the rest of the fleet. So I'm not sure. They are on starboard. Looks like everybody makes it unscathed. Looks like Peter's passed one boat on the downwind, 4-2. As Peter goes to the island of Death side of the course. The little yellow flags is a shallow spot over there. As everybody tacks back on a starboard on that shift bar, the little stall. Mark Gollison now squirting up on his hip. Got George Pedrick coming into frame, covering everybody, looks like. So George went to the inside, got onto starboard, came across. Dan's got to learn how to not watch the race and keep the viewfinder focused.
5-7, cross.
As we head upwind, 44 boat, Mr. John Rogers getting in the mix now. Check back in on Peter. Peter's worked his way up through the fleet, over on the far shore, looking for time to tack across.
5-6, protest 1-1. 5-6, protest 1-1.
Now, things are getting crazy. Mr. Giljansky out front, leading the parade, saying, "Follow me, boys, this A Fleet race." Tacks across. Lots of tacking upwind here. Oh, lost track of things. Sorry, I was daydreaming. Looks like Mark Gollison on this far shore. Heading towards the windward mark, 5-5 boat. Mark with a white boat. Looks like we still got Gil Jansky out front and Mr. Jerry Warren Brower in the number 4 boat, knocking on the door for second as they tack onto starboard, which means they're going to have to tack back onto port, which means they're going to have to tack back onto starboard, get around the mark. As we head to the windward mark the second time, there's the port tackers coming in a bunch. Big crowd. Oh, Jerry has to tack. Oh, ducks. As Gil Jansky stuffs in that last minute tack, tacking in the zone, which everybody loves. Gil gets through there unscathed in the 4-1 boat. Followed by, I'm assuming that's Mr. George Pedrick, number 57. This A Fleet race, followed by Jerry Warren Brower in the number 4 boat. John Rogers in the 44 boat. Gary Winton in the 466. What else do we got here mixing it up? It's like Mark and Barr talking to each other. 5-5 in the 175 boat. Got Keith Ives out there in the 109 yellow boat. And it looks like Dennis Rogers. In the red 43 boat. And Peter Feldman right there between 109. So it looks like Peter's managed to pass 2, 4, 5, maybe 5 to 7 boats soon. As he picks his way back through the fleet, these long races, you can gain some spots back. As we check back in on our leaders. Got George Pedrick out there, so making some gains on the downwind on Gil. As George comes to the inside, Mr. Jerry goes to the outside. Let's see where they cross. Gil Jansky on the inside, John Rogers on the outside in 4th place. And as George heads back upwind, covering the fleet. And starboard, everybody has to avoid. Hopefully, keeping George safe. As George looks like he's got John covered. Jerry's a force to be contended with. Gil's running strong, coming upwind. Coming up fast. Oh, George hits the start line, slowing him down. Not a live mark, but slows you down nonetheless. As George looks like he's got his 95 sorted out today. Tacks off the shore. He's got some starboard boats. Tries to luff up. Hits Mr. Jansky. So they both get stuck in irons. George with the double troubles, unfortunately.
It's 175 protesting 5-7.
And look who's worked his way back up through. We got Mr. Peter Feldman over there.
Starboard.
4-2 boat. Worked his way back. Never giving up, nibbling away. Peter looks like he's got a port ley line to the finish. Got some folks over here on starboard. Jimmy Shears, boy with a dream, on starboard. Nobody else is. Let's see. They have to avoid. Jerry crosses. Chuck's gonna cross. John Rogers takes the win. Gary Winton in second. Peter making it back to third. I should have followed you the whole race, Peter. Nice job. Tough race for the eighth leaders. All right, B Fleet race with some unusual suspects in B Fleet. Mr. Peter Feldman, middle of the line, squirting up the front. Looks like Chris Davidson, the 6'9" boat, charging up the inside. George Pedrick with an axe to grind. He almost had the A Fleet locked up. Had some unfortunate luck with penalties. Nope, you don't get to do that. No IOUs in sailing.
Yeah.
As we head upwind, the deck is shuffled. Got Chris Davidson, the 6'9" boat on the far shore with Peter Feldman on his hip in the 4'2" boat. Brig North in the mix. George Pedrick coming across on port. I'll have to duck around the finish line. Chris holding high and tight. A good port tack. Reach, getting, praying for some lift, trying to get lifted to that mark. Brig on the outside is gonna have to tack first. Back soon. We'll see if they all tack together. Most likely. So the back guys go first. Doesn't make sense. They might be a little low. See who makes it. Looks like they all went a little early. Peter a little low. Has to tack. Tack in the zone. Mr. Chris Davidson spits out front.
So why do you think when I...
It's like Brig North and Thirst, Jennifer Galson and Paul Todd talking granola talk in the background. But hopefully they'll get to the bottom of it soon. Chris Davidson out front, this B Fleet race. Peter Feldman looks like in third. Brig kind of cutting over early on the inside. In second. Got to be top four. Mr. George Pedrick in there. There goes Chris. Quick blip on the radar. Chris powered up and going due, but got Peter Feldman right on his heels in the 4'2" boat. Brig North in the 11 boat. Looks like Nick Allen, the 228 on that fourth spot. George in the 57, the 711. So Chris to the inside, Peter Feldman to the outside. George Pedrick to the outside. Let's see if they make any gains on Mr. Davidson in the 6'9" boat or not. Chris is powered up good. Joe Roddy interfering a little bit, trying to avoid, didn't avoid. And Chris is okay. Always aim for the stern, Joe. Always aim for that stern. Here comes Peter on port, tacking up the middle, right on Chris's heels. Looks like he's got good command of second place. Chris has got a decent lead. We got Brig north in third. Looks like Nick and George battling out for fourth here. Nick in the 228. Heading upwind. Looks like Brig, Brig might be getting into third place here.
Brig just did it. Boom. And he's off to the race. And he's got a freight to lift. Right. I mean, you're right. Because you look at the first beat, they're coming around the bar. No, and on the second beat, you were every time you tack,
all right, Chris still in first place up there on starboard. A couple more tacks around the windward. Got Peter in second.
You're doing the worst of both worlds. You were stopping short of getting past everything, and then you were luffing your sails, and you were going like this, and your boat was dying.
Fleet's getting strung out here.
And I'm not trying to be critical. Just giving you feedback.
Chris makes it to the windward mark first. Peter Feldman in second. This B Fleet race. 12B maybe? 11B? I should start looking at the board before I start filming. As Chris rounds the offset, heads downwind. Peter hasn't even made it to the windward mark yet, so pretty good lead by Mr. Davidson. But it really doesn't matter, just top four, move up, back to A Fleet. Sailing by yourself in clean air. Not much struggling. Third place, George Pedrick in the 5'7". Looking to go back and redeem himself in A Fleet. Most of those guys have been in A Fleet. Next around the offset is Brig North, Nick Allen, and somebody else. Brig in the blue 11 boat. Nick Allen in the green 228. And a sail number I can't read. 05. That's super fast Dan from Olympia, Washington. Nice job, Dan McDuff. The 05 boat battling for that bump up spot. As Dan angles over, the good head of Steve, trying to battle with Mr. North to get into A Fleet. It's going to be a tough battle here, Dan, but we'll see. Dan's staying powered up. Here's Brig and Dan. That's kind of the battle for fourth. So it should be interesting. It's Chris Davidson and Peter go to the far side towards the Island of Death. Not too many people stuck on it, but lots of yellow flags. George goes to the windward mark, shore side, close side. Oh, here we go. Dan to the inside, Brig to the outside. Fat battling for fourth place. Nick Allen also wants to get in there in the green 228 boat. So let's see where Brig and Dan end up. Dan in 05, tax, stalls a little bit, gets going. Has to, oh boy, some downwind boats. Dan's on starboard, hopefully they avoid. Who am I watching? Nick, there's Dan. There's Dan on Brig stern, maybe a little higher. As Peter closes the gap out of frame. And tacking back over. Maybe on that shift. Peter has definitely closed the gap on Chris. Chris in the 6'9" boat, Chris Davison, Peter Feldman in the 4'2" boat. First and second, heading to the finish line. Peter tacks early, Chris carries on. Peter getting a little lifted. Looks like Dan might have worked his way selling a 4. So 57, George looks like he's got third place. Let's watch where Dan and Brig cross. Dan getting lifted a little bit. Brig's powered up. Dan's pinching, going a little slow, but on starboard. Brig is go, just makes the cross. I think Dan was. So sorry, missed the finish. Chris in first. Peter in second. Brig tacks on the starboard. Dan continues on. Oh, Brig has to fall off. Looks like George crossing the line in third. Dan could foot off and go fast. Oh, I think Brig got it though. Nice race. Nice race, Dan. Almost there. All right, and we're off. A Fleet race. Dang it, I forgot to look at the number again, but Sunday, last day, August 4th, DF95 Nationals. As we head upwind, you got Mr. Bar Bratzer and Brig North out front. Bar in the 175. Tacks on that shift. And as we head to the windward mark for the first time, Brig North, the 11 boat. A few starboard boats here. Mr. Mark Galson. Sneaking back upwind after him and Peter tangled on the start. It's like Jess Atkins in the orange 5'6" boat, also known as Vermilion. Tacks on the starboard, forcing folks to duck, but no, nobody flinches. Takes Larry's stern, heads north, heads west, sorry. This lake runs east-west. Here at San Diego, built in the 40s, I think, and they finally finished it after World War II. Great visionaries who built this back then. Who's going to be the next guy can get it done here and build some lakes in 2024. Everybody thinks it's impossible. I don't. And it looks like Larry Grant going to make model boating again. Great again, number 85 boat. Heads to the offset. followed by Keith Ives, the 109 boat out of Long Beach, California. As Larry and Keith head downwind for the first time. Third place boat, I think Mr. Bar Bratzer. Silver 175, he's going fast. Oh, looks like Jess hit the mark, had to do a turn. Stuck in reverse irons. Lets a few boats by and then gets back up to speed. We got Larry Grant out front in the 85. Keith Ives in the 109 on the inside. Bar Bratzer in the 175. Who else we got in the mix? Mr. Chris Davidson in the 6'9 boat. Peter Feldman. 4th and 5th, Brig North. You see Jimmy Sears, Boy with a Dream, in the 74 boat. And I was going to say the Sedici. These are DF95s, but sailing IOMs tomorrow. Some of us brought 2 boats. Sail Race Week. San Diego Argonauts putting on a great show. Doing a race week, not too many clubs commit to doing this kind of stuff, so great contribution to the community, model sailing community. As we see all the boats march downwind. But boy, Larry is shot out of a cannon. 8.5 goes to the right hand leeward marks along with Keith towards the island of death. Getting close to those yellow flags, and Larry thinks twice before he tacks onto port in front of the almost the entire fleet coming at him. Larry high risking it, tacks back onto starboard, changes his underwear and continues on. Larry managed to get out of there unscathed. We got Keith Ives powering up the middle, tacks back onto starboard, chase Larry down. Got Bar Bratzer in the 175 boat. Getting the angles, pinching up wind, closing the gap between Larry. Going right at Larry, closing the gap. Peter tacks offshore, Jess tacks offshore, Bar follows as they try to chase Larry down. But good long legs here. Got Larry in first, Keith Ives in second, Bar Bratzer third, Jess Atkins as they all come upwind. Chris Davidson on starboard, trying to force some rights. Jess tacks, Peter tacks.
I couldn't make it across both of you.
As decisions are made. Actually, they got on a decent lift there. Powered up and going, closing the gap on Keith, who's looks like he's going a little slow at the moment. Tacking back onto port. Say, come on guys, let's chase Larry down. We want first place, not second. Keith on port with a little lift, tacks onto starboard, making the boats go fast. Need some energy. Had some coffee, decent night of sleep. I'm dragging. Maybe I got the C Fleet blues again. A little taste of A Fleet, but I said that's enough, Dan. Go back down. We want video of A Fleet. So Larry hacking right into Briggs' head as he's heading straight to the windward mark, because when you're in the lead, you can go into the windward mark however you want. Port, starboard, forward, reverse, whatever it takes. As Larry gets there, throws another tack. Tack as much as you want, Larry. You got a big lead. But we're vicious sharks. Look at that, bearing down on Larry. Everybody looking low except maybe Keith. We'll pinch around, so Keith's still in second. Makes around the windward mark. Keith heads over to try to chase down Larry. There's Keith. As they round the offset. Lost track of some boat numbers, but it looks like Barr, Peter Feldman, Chris Davidson. Jesus, glare is horrible. I'm going to build a bigger sunshade for my box here. As folks head downwind, let's check in with Boring Larry. Larry's checking the charts, the tides. Larry might be forwarding in a dinner order. Got lots of time to think out there in front.
Are you supposed to go around to all the marks?
Yeah, you got to go around them all, Larry.
Oh, damn.
But it's never over till it's over. There's Keith Ives in second, Mark Bratzer in third, Chris Davidson in fourth, Peter Feldman trying to give Chris some dirty air. Squirt around him. Mission accomplished for 2.5 seconds. As we head down the windward marks, thinking Larry's going to the island of death again. Larry, Keith, last minute decision to split the buoys here on our finishing leg. Let's see how it pays off for Keith. Keith goes the inside, Peter goes the inside. They're all or nothing, Hail Mary. Did Larry leave the door open? We will see. As Keith navigates some downwind boats, Peter stays clear. Peter's sailing a little higher than Keith. There's Keith. Jeez, I'm looking at the boats, not through the viewfinder. Sorry, folks. Fire me. Fire me as Larry came across, got over the top of the fleet, covering maybe not as big a lead, but trying to cover 6 boats. 6 boats nipping out of here at Larry's heels. As Peter on the starboard first. Looks like he's pointing pretty high. Won't quite make the line. Larry tacks for the shore. Coming back on port. Looks like he might make the line on port. Larry falls off a little to speed up. But Peter went to the inside, did close quite a bit of gap. Keith on the inside. Peter has to tack. Tacking onto port. As Larry tacks on the starboard. Maybe a leisurely finish, unless Larry has a seizure at the line. Looks like no seizure. Looks like his training partner might be coming in second. Keith Ives roaring across on port. Oh, everybody gets sucked to that far end of the finish line. As the A fleet finishes up. There's Mr. Galson coming across. A fleet race Sunday, coming down the wire. Tensions are high. Everybody's battling. I have no idea. Probably Peter and Mark at the top. It's usually a safe bet, but
No. Damn it.
As we head upwind, we got Scott.
4-2's on starboard. Go, go, you go, Keith. 76.
As we head upwind, Dennis Rogers in the 4-3 boat.
60.
On to starboard. Jimmy tacks a little late. They sail on. Got Mr. Gollison over here, the far right, taking all the water he can. On this side of the lake, which usually pays off in the end. The 5-5 boat. Scott doing some one-handed sailing there. Oh, now he's got two hands. Up at the front, we got Peter Feldman forcing Gary Winton to duck, forcing somebody to tack. Mr. Gollison on port, having to tack a couple boats, or duck a couple boats, but comes out of that with speed, so not a bad move there. Mark staying way to the windward side of the course here as we head up to the weather mark for the first time. Some zoom in as it gets tougher and tougher to see the screen, my itty bitty screen. You can try a different camera, but this camera pretty good, a couple $100, good optical zoom. What we got up there first? Got Jim Sears. And somebody around the weather mark first. So that's who's in first? Is that Mr. Davidson? You guys might be able to see better than me. I think that is the 6'9" boat. Mr. Davidson taking Jimmy Sears on a tour of the far shore. Like the press here, Mr. Tom taking some pictures. As Peter Feldman, the 4-2 boat, is in third. Yellow boat, let's say, I'm betting Keith Ives over there. No, maybe not. That must be Scott. No draft stripes on that yellow boat, so that is not Keith. That's Scott, who lives in a blue van down by the river. Mr. Mark Gollison powered up, going fast. Got a big patch of weeds over there, just leaving the screen. As Mark and Scott do a little downwind shuffle. Shuffle, huffle. And downwind. Boy with a dream, Jim Sears out in front, 74. Chris Davidson, 6'9" boat. Hot on his heels. Got Mark and Peter mixing it up over here. Looking like third and fourth place. Jess Atkins going over there by the shallow zone. Trying to pick up some lift off the shallow water. He shoots in the mark. Jim goes the outside towards the island of doom. Oh, he's got a good angle, doesn't need to tack. Chris Davidson on his heel. Peter and Mark to the inside here. See where they cross, see if they make any gains, any losses. Oh my gosh, they're all piled up here. This Mark goes all the way to shore. Peter tacks early. Mark getting a little more distance, stay on top. Trying to close a gap on Jim, who's running like a scalded cat. These guys on his tails. Jess Atkins on the foreshore. Jimmy can't defend both sides of the course. So these wily veterans trying to take Jim to the woodshed. Trying to take him to the woodshed, but Jimmy Sears says, I came to play in A Fleet.
Dottie, I want to tap.
As Jim talks off the far shore. The 7-4 covering the fleet. Mark always sailing in his own wind, just driving straight up the lake like a sniper, like a ninja. Look at, there's Mark Ninja Gollison. Found his way into second place, coming to the inside mark. Peter a little lower. Chris Davidson got a big salad patch over there. Let's see who gets hung up in that. Dennis Rogers going to sail his own wind, say screw you guys, coming over here. See if he can get some gains as Jim has to deal with
Kelp, 175 Kelp, 44 Kelp.
all the other people. Public service announcement of Kelp. Yeah, this boy with a dream, 7-4 is just hanging on. As Peter and Mark set him in their sights. Dr. Jim's going fast, not making too many mistakes. Got Dennis Rogers in the mix now. Mark Gollison, 4-2, coming in hot. As Jim gets on to starboard, hopefully can make the mark. Praying for some lift. Looks like he's going to be a little low. I have to throw another tack in there to get around. Jim does it early. Early and slow. Don't let him gain on you, Jimmy. 7-4, blue 7-4 boat. Jim's trying to lead this wire to wire. Maybe, I don't remember him around first. Oh no, he was up there. Watch the film, Dan, you'll figure it out. So, got Jim, 7-4, blue boat. Got Chris, or no, that's Mr. Gollison now in second place. Gonna have none of this, Jimmy Sears. You need a bigger lead on Mr. Gollison in the 5-5 boat. Dennis Rogers says, not on my pond. This is my pond, you two. Back of the line. And we got Mr. Chris Davidson, also local boy, right behind Dennis as your top four. There's Larry Grant in the sweeper position. Must have ran into trouble, not sure what he did. Dennis is heading towards the salad. Hopefully he won't hit it. He avoids. As Jim still going fast. First place. Mr. Gollison in second. Everybody hugging that right side. That inner mark. Chris Davidson, 6'9", trying to give Dennis a business. Bails out. Dr. Jim on the inside. Mark on the inside. Dennis going to go to the shore side. Chris Davidson follows the leaders as the kid games go. As Jim tacks away from the island of death, and there's no way to cross the fleet but on port. But Mark Gollison, Jimmy Sears trying to make it happen, gritting their teeth. Brig gives them a solid. But port, leeward boats win, so Brig did the right thing. Very experienced sailor. Some of these guys are so good, they just know the rules in their sleep. Another tack. So Jimmy's trying to cover Mr. Gollison. Slow tack for Jim, fast one for Mark. Might make the difference. As Mark's now underneath Jim. Jim's trying to power up, edge up. Say, eat my dirty air, Mark. Eat my dirty air. Let's watch a little clinic here.
4-3 and 6-9, you have weeds ahead. Be advised.
As Jim and Mark head upwind. Jimmy tacks on a puff. Mark continues on. As we head, whoa, wrong way on the
5-6
zoom.
and 4-2, weeds dead ahead.
Jimmy on starboard. Go fast, Jimmy, go fast. Mark way over there. I think Jimmy's gonna get it.
4-4 and 175. Watch the lead.
Oh, but Jimmy's a little low. He might have to take a tack. Mark coming in on port. Gonna be close here. Oh, Jimmy tacks, stalls, doing the dance to get to the. Oh, Jimmy gets it. Way to go, Jim. 7-4. Mark in second. Little battle for third.
11, he called for water.
6-9. Chris Davidson coming in. Just trying to pinch him up, but Chris and Jess finished together, training partners. Chris Davidson running Jess Atkins sales, super secret, speed secret sales, as the rest of the A fleet comes in. And everybody powers upwind. Larry, what are you doing out there?
Getting in my way is what he's doing.
Were you taking a nap?
Fucking sail winch went out again.
Oh, really?
Turn it on and just starts spinning, won't stop.
Oh, I've seen a few of those do that recently.
That happened to me yesterday.
Like,
Bought a brand new one from Chuck and it just did it again. I'm like, is there something wrong with my boat? Is it the receiver? I'm like, that it?
Alright, A fleet race, getting late on a Sunday. So we head upwind. Top dogs.
Larry got to come off the beach here pretty quick.
Pretty even start here.
4-2's on starboard.
Dude, I was trying to dock.
You got to ease your sails off, Chris. Starboard. Oh, come on. I got. Protest the green boat.
Few little altercations. In police terms, they call it assault. As we head upwind. Who's in the mix? Got Jimmy Sears up there, the blue 74 boat, looking good, looking fast.
Give me a minute.
Got Peter Feldman, right side of the course on port. Jim's got a little hype on him. Jim looks like he's gonna go tack that windward mark on starboard ley line. Good sailing, Jim Sears. What happened, Chris?
I got slammed by someone and now I don't have any steers.
Oh, the rudder got stuck. Yeah. All right, Jim Sears. Jeez, he's so fast I can't see him. Sorry. Around the offset first, looks like John Rogers in the 4-4 boat right on his heels, and Mark Allison in the 5-5 boat. Double numbers are fast. We got Brig North in the 1-1 boat. So 5-5, 4-4, 1-1. Coming in hot on 7-4, which is Jim Sears. Where's Jim? Can't see him in that blue boat, my tiny screen. There he is. Got those thin sails. Jim sailing away. Boy with a dream is a boy on a mission. Go Jim, go. But some people probably will have something to say about that as Mark Gallison gets a big puff in the 5.5, followed by Brig North in the 1.1 boat. And John Rogers in the 4.4 boat. Got Bar Bratzer in the 1.75. And Chris Davidson in the 6.9 boat. Coming in hot. They closed the gap. They reeled Jimmy in the breakaway. The lone breakaway never works in the Tour de France. And it does not work on the San Diego model yacht pond either. Scott, our one-handed sailor there, jogging. As Jim goes inside, Mark goes outside, tacks immediately onto starboard. Trying to get some leverage. Oh boy. Mark having to avoid a little bit as we head upwind. Where is he? Sorry, Mark Gallison. Get some height on Jim. Jim coming off the beach on port. Looks like he's still got the lead. He's just gonna power down and just crosses Mark. Nice job, Jim. Let's get the rescue boat. Trying to kill some of our model boats. Alright, we got Mark Gallison in the 5.5 boat, far shore. Jim Sears on the near shore on starboard. We'll watch where they cross. Follow Jim. There's Mark. As they come together, looks like Jim's going to get a little height. A little bit of height on starboard on Mark, where they just barely crossed. Going up. Oh, not as much as the cameraman thought. These A-fleeters are good. As Jim and Mark do battle. A lot of guys nipping at the heels. Things change fast here. Got Mark Gallison the 5.5, Jim Sears the 7.4, Scott, which I don't know his last name, the 6.0 boat. Heading upwind with Brig in the 1.1 boat, blue 1.1. As we head to the windward mark for the second time, Jim Sears tacks on to port. Heading upwind. Jim going a little slow. Cameraman stuck behind a few sailors. Jim Sears on port. Mark Gallison, the 5.5, work to the right side. Peter Feldman forced attack. Jim Sears going to have to come in the mark on port. Might work out since he's in the lead. See how it works out as Jim Sears comes across. Mark trying to get powered up. Mark's up there on port also. Mark sneaks. Jim makes a mistake there on the rounding, goes a little long, and Mark is there to just gobble him up. So is John Rogers. So boy with a dream, had a dream of first. Now he's dreaming of third. Unless he can find some magic, because the grinders wore him down. As we come downwind again. Mark Gallison, 5-5 boat. John Rogers, 4-4. Jim Sears, 74 on a puff. Jimmy's got the fast boat today. All right, Mr. Galson sneaking out front, making things happen. Put quite a few boat links on Jim Sears in the 7-4 boat, John Rogers in the 4-4, Chris Davidson right behind him in the 6-9, Scott in the 6-0, Gil Jansky 4-1, Larry making small sailing great again, and just installs a new winch servo every day, whether he needs to or not. Grant in the 8-5 boat, north in the 1-1. As we head into Leeward Mark, this might be interesting. Mark Galson goes the inside. Let's watch everybody here. Let's see, Jim, John, Chris, Scott, Peter, all to the outside. Larry to the inside. Larry tacks immediately. Chase these boys down as we head back upwind. Where did Larry go? There's Larry. Larry in the 8-5 trying to nibble away, going to force some maneuvering as he's on starboard.
I watched it happen. I saw it at 470.
As Larry gets on Chris Davidson's heel. All the boats on the left side of the lake right now. Following Mark Galson, 5-5. Jim Sears and John Rogers trying to work together to chase down Mark. Mark will have none of it. As we head back, Jim tacks onto port first. He sees the shift first. He gets some gains. John stalls out a little bit. Mark gets fired up again. It's like Jim maybe snuck back in a second. As he tacks onto port, looks like he's going to cross John, just barely. John gives him a little courtesy duck. Heard no screaming. As looks like Mark's hanging on to first. Jimmy Sears' dreams are crushed by Mark, maybe by John. Oh, Jimmy gets second. Nice job, Jim. This looks like a crazy finish on port. As the A-fleeters make it all happen.